I'm Hunter Oberst, the Sentinel's Keene City Government and Housing reporter. In May of 2021, Keene became the first New Hampshire municipality to pass a community power plan. Many other communities have followed suit since then. Nearly 2 years later, Keene officials expect to launch the program in June, allowing local utility customers to save 25% on their electricity bills. On today's show, we're speaking with Senior Planner Mary Brunner about Keene's community power plan, how it works, and how it aims to make electricity more affordable. This is Sentinel Sources. Thank you for joining us today, Mary. So I guess, how do these community power plans work, and what influenced Keene to pursue one?
Sure. So first of all, thank you for having me. Happy to be here. So the way that community power works, first of all, we call it community power in New Hampshire, but folks from other states may know it as community choice aggregation. And basically, this is a state-authorized program that allows communities to pool the electricity use of their residents and businesses and others, all of the electricity customers, and then go out to bid on their behalf for competitive electricity pricing. And in New Hampshire, it's authorized as something called an opt-out program. So what that means is that the city will become the default supplier in place of the utility. However, everyone has the option to opt out of the program and stay with the utility or go with a different energy supplier. So that's at a really high level what the program is. And the reason why the city of Keene first became interested in it was because of our renewable energy goals. We had a group of really passionate and engaged citizens come to the city in late 2018 asking City Council to sign on to these goals to transition our entire community, not just the city government itself, but our entire community to 100% renewable energy by 2050, with an interim goal to get to 100% renewable energy for our electricity supply by 2030. Now, City Council, signed on to those aspirational goals, asked staff to work with our Energy and Climate Committee to come up with a plan to reach those goals. But we knew that we would need some help, so we did hire a consultant to help us specifically with the electricity piece, because that goal is so much shorter. We only had 10 years for the until 2030. Now it's less. And so we hired a consultant, and they kind of took a look at the regulatory landscape in New Hampshire, and we were working with them. They're like, well, you have a very limited things that you could do. And then late in 2019, the state legislature passed the community power law, enabling this program as an opt-out. And they immediately came to us and said, hey, here's what you got to do. This is the one thing that you can do as a local community to really impact this goal and your ability to reach it. And so we really, it was brought to our attention in the first place because of our renewable energy goals. As we looked into it and explored the whole idea, we realized that yes, it's a great way to move towards renewable energy, but also it just makes sense in general because it gives us more local control over where our electricity comes from and what it costs.
Mm-hmm. And so when the plan does arrive, how will electricity rates compare to those now under the city's default utility, Eversource?
Right. So right now, the Eversource rate is something like 20.22 cents per kilowatt hour. The default rate through Keene's program will be 11.47 cents per kilowatt hour, so a little over 8 cents cheaper per kilowatt hour, which is a massive difference. When we were originally exploring this program, we were like, well, hopefully our rate will be very similar to Eversource. Like we kept saying, we want it to be competitive, which meant similar, maybe a little bit less. We were hoping for a little bit less. Well, this is way less. So we're really excited about that. And part of the reason why we got such great prices is because we were able to go out to bid when the market conditions were favorable. The market recently crashed because of the lack of a winter. They were predicting a much colder winter than what we actually had. And so the market crashed and prices went way down. We went out to bid and got these, quite frankly, excellent prices, which I'm very excited about. So the default product, which is called Keene Local Green, is a little over 8 cents cheaper than Eversource's current default rate. And we've locked in that price for 30 months. So I believe that's through December of 2025.
Okay. And could you explain how this plan will take effect and how it might affect Keene customers who already get their power from, say, a third-party source?
Sure, yeah. So the program is going to go into effect in June. So it depends, if you're an electricity customer in Keene, it will depend on when your meter is read. So on the date that your meter is read in June, which is for many people it'll be June 1st, for others it could be a different date in June, that's when your supply will switch over to the Keene Community Power program. Now, it will only switch over for folks that either are currently on Eversource's default rate, or if they're on a different third-party supplier right now, they would have to tell us that they want to join the program by no later than May 15th.
And what other green options or plans will be available to customers when the plan does launch?
Yeah, so the plan offers 4 different options for people to choose from. They each have a different mix of renewable, or a different balance, I should say, of renewable energy and price. So the default option, the Keene Local Green product, I already mentioned, is about 8 cents cheaper than Eversource, and that will have 10% extra renewable energy, so that's about 33.4% renewable energy total. And that, again, is the standard default product that people will automatically be enrolled in if they take no action, assuming that they're on Eversource's supply right now. However, everyone's going to be getting a letter here soon. They should be receiving a postcard on Monday, April 10th, and then a letter is going to be sent out on the 12th with more detailed information about how they can opt out or change options within the program. So the other 3 options are to go down to what we're calling the basic option. So that's doing the minimum amount of renewable energy required by the state, which is about 23%. And that's about, I think, about a half a cent per kilowatt hour cheaper than the default rate. Or you can go up to 50% renewable energy, or you can go up to 100% renewable energy. And those are only slightly more expensive. In fact, the 100% renewable energy option is still over 6 cents cheaper per kilowatt hour than Eversource's rate. So it's a great time if people are, if they want to go green and support 100% renewable energy, it's pretty affordable right now. Yeah.
Yeah, and as you mentioned earlier, it's been a long time goal for Keene to transition to all electricity used in the city to be renewable green energy by 2030. How do you think this program might help in that regard?
Yeah, so this program is really kind of what we're banking on to get us to that goal. So the city has, we're pretty limited in what we can do. We can certainly share information and provide resources for people. We can provide incentives as long as the state allows us to do that. And we have a number of incentives out there already for renewable energy. But at the end of the day, we can't force people to install solar panels or buy their electricity from a specific supplier. But what we can do is offer this program, which has competitive rates, and hopefully encourage as many people in the city as possible to participate. And then our goal is over time to ramp up the amount of renewable energy in that default option. We want to be careful, though, because we're trying to make sure that as we do that, we're staying competitive with the Eversource's default rate, because we want people to stick with our program. And then we're also going to be encouraging as many people as possible to opt up to that 100% option. The hope is by 2030 to have our default rate be 100% renewable. Whether or not we get there is going to depend on what happens in the market and how much renewable energy gets developed locally in our region. So there's some factors that we can't control, but we're really hopeful that we'll be able to get there.
Okay. And is there anything that Keene residents should be, I guess, on the lookout for in the next few weeks or few months before the program launches?
Yeah, certainly. So I mentioned we're going to be sending out the postcard and a letter. We're also going to be having a couple of public information sessions. So the first one is going to be on Tuesday, April 25th at Heberden Hall at the Public Library. That's at 60 Winter Street. That will start at 6 p.m. That one will be in person only, but I believe we're going to see if we can get that session recorded. And then there's going to be another one on Tuesday, May 2nd at 6 p.m. at City Hall in the second floor council chambers. But that one, folks will also be able to participate online via Zoom. And all of that information is on the city's website, which is keenenh.gov. And that information will be on the letter that's going out as well. And both of those meetings, we're just going to be there to provide an overview of the program, answer people's questions. I know we've already gotten a lot of questions about people saying, hey, what if I'm on the electricity assistant program? Or what if I'm somebody who has solar on my roof? So we will be answering all of those questions. We also have support numbers that are going to be on the letters going out that people can call, or they can go to the program website, KeeneCommunityPower.com, and there's a lot of information there as well.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mary, for talking with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And thank you for joining us on Sentinel Sources. I'm Hunter Oberst, and we'll see you next time.